I read Julia Fox's book, Down the Drain. Let's go ahead and talk about it while I do my makeup because why not? So I haven't fully decided if I'm gonna do like a glam look today. I truly have not decided. But I guess we're just going to wing it and we're gonna go for it. This book was a roller coaster from start to finish. It was so much wilder than I thought it was going to be. So I don't know. I knew nothing about Julia Fox besides watching her in obviously Uncut Gems and knowing that she is the voice of the meme, like, oh, I was the inspiration for Uncut Gems. I knew that. And that was about the extent of what I knew about Julia Fox. I didn't even know that she dated Kanye for a time, or the artist. I no, didn't knew none of that. So it's part of the reason why I read celebrity memoirs in the first place is because I like that's my cat. Is because I like having stories that I didn't know and this is someone's like real life. This is their experiences and how can I learn from it and what am I taking from it? And how am I going to apply that to my real life as well? Also, I just got this mirror, this little mirror, for me to do this exact kind of video. So if you enjoyed this, give it a like, let me know in the comments. Also, let's talk about Julia Fox. So if you're looking for a book that is so incredibly, I don't want to say insane because it is her life. Her life has been crazy though. She was a drug addict at a very young age. She was a partier, and a lot of it had to do with her upbringing with her parents and being kind of flitted around between New York City and Italy. And oh my goodness, she just got up to some stuff that me as a self-proclaimed goody two-shoes like would cry if I got in trouble. Um cannot cannot fathom, truly. And I loved every second of it. I listened to the audiobook of it because I feel like that was the best experience. I also decided to listen to this because originally I had zero interest. I was like, I don't really care about what she has to say. It's probably because a lot of the memoirs I've been reading recently have been like, oh, this is my alcoholism. This is how I got through it. This is why it's important to me. All very cookie cutter memoirs. This one was so different from all of the rest in such a good way because she was very unapologetic. She was like, this is my life. I enjoyed it for a lot of it, and this is the hardships that I've gone through. She's very frank about it, which is so different from a lot of other celebrity memoirs. And even in the book, which whether or not this is correct is to be seen, I guess, because I don't know her as a person, but she was basically like saying how people would go up to her and say, you are so real. Like you are probably you are a famous person who is so real about who they are and very genuine. And truly, I hope that that is the case because it would make this book all the more worthwhile. So, as usual, as memoirs go, she's just recounting her life and how dysfunctional her family kind of is. She's very sweet about her grandfather, who was a very important and good part of her life versus her parents who were constantly fighting, and she would go up to them when she was a little kid and basically beg them to stop fighting because she was so tired of it, especially when her dad was an alcoholic and he would just pass out drunk and her mom would scream and she was like, I couldn't sleep at all because of it. It's very good-natured for a lot of it. While she did get into some absolutely bonkers fights with her friends, with people who were her enemies, with her boyfriends, I got to a point where I had to text my friends on our Discord and basically be like, Julia Fox is wild. Oh my goodness, y'all need to read this book. It is wild. And that was at the point where she had run away from Italy, come to New York City because she was so enamored in this boyfriend that she had, this drug dealer boyfriend that she had. And she ended up getting, it was kind of like her first stint with heroin. I was at one point was just like, she does not skimp out on any details, none whatsoever. You get everything. I don't know. It adds to the feeling like this is actually what someone's life is and was. Mainly was because she definitely turned it around. And it went in many different directions that I didn't expect. She really didn't focus very much on her career. She didn't really talk about what a day-to-day day was going to be like. It was a lot of culminations of stories that she felt were important to share about her character, a lot of which were incredible to listen to, and yet I couldn't imagine them whatsoever. It's goodness. So for those beauty gurus out there, I'm sorry if I'm doing things wrong. The takeaways that I kind of got from it that I was like, oh, that's really nice, is she wasn't afraid to be herself, which continues to this day for sure. And even when the last chapter, which was her relationship with Kanye and how that all turned out, as well as how she ended up having her son. So the entire last chapter was Kanye, and she would explain like how the dynamic in all those situations would be, and it sounded like, yeah, like he controls it. There was one of his friends who would, one of the first nights that she was with Kanye, they were like dancing in a club and she was twerking, going all out, and the person pulled her aside and was like, "You're doing too much." And she looked around and was like, "Yeah, I was, but I was being me." It was definitely to boost the artist, and you know it. Have him be the main character, have him be the center of attention, be the A-list celebrity that everyone is gawking at, and just have like entourages sprinkled around. And Julia Fox was like, I don't live like that. I am my own main character. Literally, like, I am my own main character. That's not how I do it. As for recommending this book to people, 100%. This was one of the most entertaining memoirs I have ever listened to. I only fell asleep once, and that was because I was dead tired, and it was after listening to it for like an hour in bed. All I wanted to do was listen to this. I was thinking about it. I played it at work when it was slow and I didn't have any customers and I had stuff to do. I'd pop an earbud in and I would listen to it. It seriously is probably going to be one of my favorites of the year, if not my favorite memoir of the year. And I just went into it because Jack Edwards talked about it and was like, this is wild. And I'm like, I need wild in my life. There was one part that I was super interested to hear because this was when she had left New York City. So she ended up going on a road trip with her friend. And while they did that, they ended up staying in the bayous of Louisiana for months, 6 months, maybe. And just hung out with someone that they knew down there. And then met like someone else. I think his name was Eric. And he sounded like the sweetest person ever. Of course, there were a lot of drugs involved, but she genuinely talked about them so passionately. It is probably one of the most real accounts of drug use coming from someone who did it. It really showed these people they're people. Oh, it's because I was looking down. You know what? That's okay. That's how we're gonna do it. Usually, I'm so used to doing it in a mirror where I'm straightforward, which I could do, but since I did that one while looking down, I'm also gonna do this one while looking down. So I would say if you are someone who enjoys I wouldn't say a celebrity memoir, but kind of a celebrity memoir. With a lot of gossip and drama and stuff that happens, and a very real account of someone's life as well, then 100% read Julia's book, because, oh my goodness, wow, it was a trip from beginning to end. She lost a lot of friends when she was younger. There's so many points in the story where I was like, oh my goodness, no child should have to go through this. No child should have to lose this many friends, even though she seemed very good at making friends. And one point that I am making sure not to skip over was all of her experiences with almost overdosing and then her friends who did. And she had some of her best friends did, which was very much what snapped her out of doing drugs. But there were so many points where she blacked out, would wake up with people above her, and they were like, thank God we had Narcan on us because you started overdosing. There were so many moments leading up to the points where she would get the phone calls, and it would be her, someone being like, this person passed away and it was overdose, or it was suicide. It was one of how she wishes she could have been there for them. Like, people were there for her whenever she was going through it too. And she, while not specifically being religious within her writing, there were definitely a few moments where she kind of alludes to it and was basically like, it was fate that this stuff happened to me. There was a point where she was talking about doing all these interviews and how people never asked her how she was doing, and to talk about her friends that had overdosed, and whether that's because they just wanted clicks and didn't want anything serious in their interviews, or whether that was because they didn't know or just didn't care. I really think that it would have been a really interesting thing for them to include that and have her talk from experience about what it has done to her life and how much experience she truly has with it. So at the end of the day, this was definitely a 5-star read for me. I really, really want to get a physical copy of this book, honestly. I would kill to get a signed copy. That would be, I would probably start crying, even though I, before this, had no investment in Julia Fox, but now I'm like, you go. So yeah, let me know if you read it, if you're going to read it. And if you want something a little more cohesive about the book and a lot more well spoken, I would say go watch Jack Edwards' video. I thought it was wonderful, and he talked about it throughout. He was also reading and listening at the same time. I recommend listening for sure, at the very least. And whether or not you decide to do both, that is completely up to you. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit subscribe. I got some more videos for you, as well as give it a like. That helps me. It just makes me feel good, truthfully. I will see y'all later. Bye, friends.